Learn English the easy way, step by
Welcome back
step,
to
with
Pro
Pro
English
English Podcast.
Welcome back to the Pro English Podcast. I am Mike, and I am hanging out today with Clara. We are diving into one of the most stressful situations you can face in a foreign language, going to the doctor. This is a huge pillar of our Everyday English for Beginners and English Listening Practice series. But before we get into the vocabulary, we need to talk about the mental weight. Think about it. You're sick, you're in pain, and now you have to explain exactly what's wrong using a language that isn't your own. It's the ultimate test of your brave voice. Most students think they need to be medical experts to survive a doctor's appointment, but that's a total myth. Doctors don't need a textbook, they need a clear communicator. Today, we're using the 70 rule to simplify your health. We're going to focus on anchor words like hurt, pain, and since, and ignore the junk words that just add noise. We're building an engine Tadia massive, 60-minute deep dive so you can walk into that clinic with your head held high and your anxiety at zero.
Mike, you are describing my literal nightmare. Last year, I had this terrible earache while I was traveling, and I was so scared of the doctor's office that I just stayed in my hotel room taking aspirin and crying. I didn't go because I kept thinking, what if he asks me how long I've felt this way and I use the wrong tense? What if he uses a word I don't know and I just sit there like a statue? When we're sick, our brave voice usually disappears because we feel so vulnerable. I don't want to learn how to say cardiovascular system. I just want to know how to say my chest hurts without my voice shaking. I feel like my English is too childish for a professional setting like a hospital. How do I bridge that gap? How do I stop feeling like a kid when I am explaining a fever or a stomach problem? I am ready for this 70 rule because when you're in pain, perfection is the last thing on your mind. You just want to feel better. It's about survival, not about getting an A+ in a grammar class.
Clara, it's completely normal to feel that way, but here is the brave voice truth. Simple is powerful. In fact, doctors actually prefer simple. If you say, my head, big pain, here, the doctor knows exactly what to do. If you try to use a complex word you don't fully understand, you might actually confuse the diagnosis. The goal of the Pro English Podcast is to give you the social armor to handle these high-pressure moments. Traditional schools want you to memorize lists of body parts you'll never use. They want you to learn that the phalanx is the bone of the finger. Who cares? If your finger is broken, you just need to say, finger, hurt, can't move. That's the 70 rule in action. We're dismantling the idea that you need to be a linguist to get medical help and replacing it with a system. We are going to explore every corner of this exam room today, making sure you have enough rocks to cross the river of sound. Let's look at the engine, the symptom simplified. To explain almost any health problem, you only need this formula, body part, feeling plus time. 1 body part, head, stomach, throat, back, arm, leg. 2, feeling. Hurt, verb, pain, noun, sore, adjective. 3, time, since yesterday for 3 days since this morning. Instead of worrying about complex grammar, focus on these anchor words. If you say stomach, hurt, 3 days, you've achieved 100 communication success. The junk words like, I have been experiencing a dull ache in my, are just unnecessary noise. When you use your brave voice, you cut through that static. You're telling the doctor exactly what they need to fix. This isn't just about vocabulary. It's about taking up space and saying, I am here, I am hurting, and I deserve to be understood even if my grammar isn't perfect. We're going to spend a lot of time today practicing how to prioritize these anchors so they become your default setting.
Okay, Mike, deep breath, brave voice. Back, big pain, since Saturday, lifted, heavy thing. It feels so much more manageable when I stop trying to build a beautiful sentence. It's like I am just handing the doctor the pieces of a puzzle instead of trying to show him a finished painting. But there is another wall I hit, the specific vocabulary. I know head and arm, but what about the words that describe how it feels? What about swollen? What about itchy? Or dizzy? Those words feel like they're at a much higher level, and when I don't have them, I go back to pointing and grunting like I can't speak at all. How do we apply this anchor word philosophy to those more specific feelings? Because hurt is great, but sometimes it doesn't explain that my skin is red or that I feel like the room is spinning. I want to be specific without being a poet. And then there's the environment, waiting room, the nurse taking your blood pressure, the receptionist, all that English noise before I even see the doctor. My anxiety starts at the front door.
That's exactly why we call it social armor, Clara. You aren't just walking in with words, you're walking in with a strategy. If the room is spinning, you don't need the word vertigo. You use your anchors. Head, spin. Dizzy, if your skin is red and you want to scratch it, you say skin. Red, want scratch. As for that waiting room anxiety, this is where connected speech and anchor listening are your best friends. The receptionist is going to say a lot of junk words. They might say, if you could just take a seat over there and fill out these insurance forms, we'll be with you shortly. What are the anchors? Seat, fill out, FORMS. If you hear those three words, you know exactly what to do. You don't need to understand shortly, or if you could just. You catch the rocks in the river and you ignore the water. We are going to deconstruct several common waiting room scenarios today so you can recognize those rocks instantly. We also need to talk about the physical sensation of the language. When you're at the doctor, your brain is under stress. This is why we use the 70 rule. If you try to be 100 accurate, your brain will freeze. But if you give yourself a license to fail, you allow your social brain to take over. Your social brain is much faster than your analytical brain. It knows how to solve problems. It knows that if you can't remember cough, you can just make the sound of a cough and point to your chest. That is a pro-English move. It's not bad English. It's high-impact communication.
High-impact communication. I like that. It sounds much better than beginner English. It makes me feel like I am using a tool effectively rather than failing at a language. But Mike, I still worry about the doctor's river. Doctors speak so fast. They use words like medication, prescription, symptoms, and history. When they ask, do you have a history of heart disease in your family? And they say it at 100 miles per hour, my brain just stops. I start wondering if history means the same thing in medical terms as it does in a history book. I need to know how to filter that specific medical river. Is there a way to train my ear to hear the doctor's rocks?
Absolutely. In this first part of our Pro-English podcast session, we are cementing this foundation by focusing on pattern recognition. Doctors are predictable. They follow a routine. First, they ask why you are there. Then they ask about the history of the pain. Then they ask about allergies. If you know the routine, you are already halfway to understanding. We're going to spend time today going through those routine patterns so you can predict the rocks. You aren't just listening for words. You're listening for the next step in the process. You have to accept that your simple English is actually efficient English. We're moving away from the shame of what you don't know and into the power of what you can do with 10 words. We're dismantling the myth of the perfect patient and building a brave patient. You are a communicator with a mission. You have your anchors, your 70 license, and your brave voice. We've got a lot more to cover in this foundational hour, including how to handle the nurse who takes your vitals and how to explain exactly how long you've been feeling sick without getting lost in present perfect continuous traps. When you're ready to move into the strategic practice and the pharmacy survival guide in the next block, just say Part 2. End of Part 1, Part 2. The Strategy Clinic Control and the Pharmacy Survival Guide. Welcome back to the Pro English Podcast. If you're hanging out with us for this second hour, it means you've already started shifting your mindset from being a passive student to an active body manager. In that first block, Clara and I really tore down the idea that you need to be a linguist to get medical help. We focused on the 70 rule and the body feeling plus time formula. But now, we're moving into the tactical phase. This is where we put on that social armor so you can actually manage the interaction when the doctor starts talking fast, or when you're standing at the pharmacy counter, feeling the pressure of the line behind you. We are going to spend this entire hour making sure you have the exact strategies to handle every instruction and every piece of medication. We're going to dive deep into instruction decoding. I am going to show you how to hear the rocks in a sentence like, take 2 of these every 8 hours, so you never have to guess your dosage. Then, we're going to build your pharmacy shield. Standing at that counter is a different kind of stress. It's fast, it's loud, and there's a lot of technical vocabulary. Well, look at the essential English vocabulary you actually need, and it'll give you the ultimate truth move to guarantee 100 accuracy. Finally, practice a brave voice daily ritual designed specifically to make these medical phrases automatic. Clara, are you ready to take the wheel and stop the knot of shame once and for all?
Mike, I am so ready. That first hour was a huge relief, especially the part about pointing and grunting being actual communication. But I've got to be honest, the part that still makes my stomach turn is the instruction phase. When the doctor stands up, grabs their clipboard, and starts rattling off the plan. Take 2 of these every 8 hours with food and don't drive while using it. It sounds like one massive word. By the time my brain translates 8 hours, the doctor has already handed me a paper and is walking toward the door. This is where the pressure hits me the hardest because it's my health. If I mess up the grammar in a restaurant, I just get the wrong soup. If I mess up the instructions at the doctor, I might take the wrong dose. The 70 rule feels scary here because I want 100 safety. I need to know how to use that social armor to freeze the moment and make the doctor repeat things in a way I can actually process. How do I stop the instruction river without feeling like I am being a difficult patient? I want to feel like a pro, even if I am feeling sick and exhausted.
That's a completely fair point, Clara, but here's the secret. Being a pro patient actually means being the person who clarifies. Doctors and nurses say these instructions thousands of times a year, so they use massive reductions. They aren't trying to be confusing. They are just being efficiently lazy with their speech. To navigate this, we use instruction decoding and focus on connected speech. Check out these common reductions you'll hear in any clinic. Take 'em twice a day. And on a, take 'em in an empty stomach. For a, do this for a week. Give you, I'm gonna give you a prescription. If you are waiting to hear the clear, slow words from a textbook, you are going to get lost in the water. You have to listen for the action, amount, and frequency. Those are your rocks. For example, if the doctor says, I'm gonna give you these pills, take 'em twice a day for a week. Your brain should just grab take twice week. Butane, this is the most important piece of social armor. You must use the clarifier. Never leave the room without saying, let me check, 2 pills twice a day for 1 week, right? Let's try it. It'll be the fast-talking doctor, and I want you to use your armor to catch the anchors and confirm them. Ready? All right, take 'em twice a day for 10 days and an empty stomach.
Okay, let me focus. I'm hunting for the rocks. I heard take, twice, 10 days, and empty stomach. So I'd say, wait, sorry, let me check, take twice a day, 10 days, empty stomach. You know what, Mike? Just saying those words makes me feel so much more powerful. It's like I am not just a person listening, I am a person verifying. But then comes the next challenge, the pharmacy. I take that piece of paper, the prescription, and walk to the counter. Now I am facing a pharmacist who is busy, and there are people waiting behind me. They start asking about generic brands, insurance coverage, or side effects. I feel like I am entering a second battle. What are the anchor words I should be hunting for when I am at the pharmacy? I need a pharmacy shield that keeps me from panicking when they ask a question I didn't prepare for. What if they ask about my deductible or something else I don't understand? How do I stay brave when the vocabulary gets even more technical?
The pharmacy is a high-pressure spot, but the vocabulary is actually extremely limited. Once you know the rocks, The rest of the sentence is just background noise. Here is your pharmacy survival kit, prescription or the script. That's the paper. Refill when you need more of the medicine later. Side effects. Does it make you sleepy? Does it hurt your stomach? Drowsy? This is a vital anchor. It means sleepy. If the bottle says may cause drowsiness, do not drive or use heavy machinery. Over-the-counter OTC, medicine you can buy without a doctor's note. Your social armor at the counter is just 3 simple questions to ensure your safety. How many times a day? Does this cause side effects? Is there a generic version? This one saves you money. And here is the ultimate truth. Move for our pro-English podcast tribe. If it's too loud, or if the pharmacist is talking too fast, you use the nuclear option. I'm sorry, can you write that down for me? Asking someone to write it down is a total power move. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a strategy for 100 accuracy. It takes the pressure off your ears and puts the info on paper where you can check it later. You can even take a photo of the instructions with your phone.
Can you write it down? I honestly always forget that's an option. I always feel like if I don't catch it by ear, I've failed a test. But you're right, it's not a test. It's my health. Having it on paper is like a permanent shield. I am really starting to feel the shift now. I'm moving away from being a passive student to an active body manager. I am looking for the rocks, I am using my armor, and I am letting the water flow past. But I want to talk about the side effects. Sometimes they give you a long list of things that could happen. How do I filter that? If they say nausea, headaches, or dizziness, do I need to memorize all of that? Or can I just use the brave voice to ask, is it dangerous? I want to make sure I am not just surviving the conversation, but actually understanding the real risks. How do I simplify the side effect river?
You've got the right idea again, Clara. You don't need the whole list. You just need the red flags. You can ask, what is the most important side effect? Or, when should I call the doctor? This forces them to simplify the information for you. It puts you in total control. But here's the catch. How do you keep this momentum when you're actually sick? When you have a fever, your brain feels slow even in your native language. How can you be a brave voice when your battery is low? This is the core of our philosophy. We don't train for a marathon on the day of the race. You train while you're healthy. For the brave voice to work when you have a 100-degree fever, it needs to be in your muscle memory, not just your thinking brain. I want you to take those phrases we used today and just repeat them while you're doing normal stuff, making coffee, driving, or walking the dog. My throat is sore. Where is the pharmacy? Can you write that down? You want those to be so automatic that you don't even have to think. You want them stored in your social brain. If you've said, can you write it down? 100 times in your kitchen, you'll be able to say it in a clinic even if your head is spinning. Your thinking brain might be tired, but your social armor will be on autopilot. We want these phrases to be like your own name, something you can say even if you're half asleep.
I am starting that ritual today, Mike. I want those phrases to be part of who I am. It's about building a reflex. I love the idea of social armor being on autopilot. It makes me feel so much more secure. Thanks for making the clinic feel like a place I can actually handle. I am not a victim of the river of sound anymore. I am a navigator. I am actually looking forward to my next appointment just to test this out. I feel like I have a map and a shield now.
That's the spirit, Clara. That confidence is the real goal. To everyone listening, your English is a tool. It doesn't have to be pretty to be powerful. It's like a hammer, it doesn't have to be gold to drive a nail. Go out there, stay healthy, and if you do get sick, remember, you've got the armor. You are a brave voice. You are a body manager. And you are a member of the Pro English Podcast tribe. We've covered so much ground in these 2 hours. From the simple body feeling plus time formula to the pharmacy shield, and the ultimate truth of writing things down. You have everything you need to navigate a medical situation with confidence. Don't let the river of sound drown you. Look for the rocks, cross the river, get your medicine, go home and rest. You've earned it.
Stay brave, everyone. I'm going to go practice my ritual right now. Can you write that down? Can you write that down? It's going to be my new favorite phrase. Catch you in the next one.
Thanks for hanging out with us on the Pro English Podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. Stay brave. End of part 2.